the ANC's regional chairperson and MMC for Finance, Eugene Modise, has been elected deputy mayor of Tshwane. It comes after Dr. Nasipi Moya, who previously held that position, was elected mayor of the metro just last week following the ousting of the DA Celia Brink. Tshwane has been plagued with leadership issues for the past few years, while the city has been slowly deteriorating.
Honourable Councillors, Schedule 3, Item 5 of the Municipal Structures Act dictates that where there is only one candidate nominated, I must declare that candidate elected. I now, in terms of this section, I declare Eugene Modise as a new Deputy Executive Mayor of the city of Tshwane Metropolitan.
All right, let's get you some analysis now. We're joined by political analyst, Professor Dirk Kotze. Prof, always a pleasure having you on the program. So the ANC couldn't clinch the mayoral position, but no surprise, I suppose, that the new deputy mayor is from the party.
Yes, this is what to a large extent expected, although I think if we look a little bit back, then it is a bit of a surprise actually, because in the past the ANC and the EFF couldn't find each other for many years, and therefore opted obviously then for a third option. It was in Johannesburg the case, in Ekurhuleni as well as in Modise City. That has now changed with the fact that the EFF is taking now a backseat. We've just heard today also that it is now happening in Modise City, where most possibly the new mayor will also be from the ANC.
Right.
So I think it reflects the new dynamics that are there, and especially the relationship between the ANC and the EFF.
Yeah, and of course, Action SA has had a major role as well in this development.
Yes, but they have played the role of brinkmanship, and that is to say, if they don't get the position of mayor, they are not at all part of the deal. And to a large extent, that also happened in Johannesburg. So I think especially the development in Johannesburg led or spilled over into Tshwane. And it's now a case where the Action SA wants to be much more prominent, although they are not part of the government of national unity. At the metro level, and especially in Gauteng. So I think that they've achieved that. But in reality, I would say the fact that the ANC has now the position of the deputy mayor gives us an indication of what is really the power balance within the city, and that is that the ANC is going to a large extent determine what happens here.
Yeah, and you know, the bottom line, I suppose, Prof, with these developments, we've got a new mayor, we've got a new mayoral committee, we've got a new deputy mayor now as well. Ultimately, what the people who live in Tshwane will hope for is that this will translate into service delivery.
Yes, well, this is the promise that the Action SA and the ANC has made. And this is, I think it created really high expectations that they will change the way in which the DA approached it. They have, unfortunately, from their point of view, very little time, only 2 years before the next election. And when it comes to processes or new forms of approaches or policies at local government level, it takes quite a long time to implement them.
Yeah.
18 months or so is the more realistic time in order to see changes. So I think the public in general should not expect to see something very quickly. At the same time, I should add that one should not concentrate only on the government. No, what is very important are the officials behind the scenes. They are the ones who actually must do the work. The executives are the ones who must determine policy, the approach, the budget, and those type of aspects. But the real work is done on the ground by the officials. A new set of or group of officials have been appointed, including the municipal manager, and they are quite professional in terms of their qualifications and their experiences. So we hope that that will contribute a lot to this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we can move away from all of the politicking and the political bargaining that would surely have been taking place behind the scenes in the build-up to not only this vote, but the mayoral vote as well. The hope, I suppose, Professor Kotze, is that these officials that you're talking about, that they will continue the programs that are already in place instead of starting afresh. I mean, surely we shouldn't have to wait yet another 18 months to see things change.
Yes, that is indeed so. And I think, for example, about the water situation, Hammanskraal and Rooiwal has been very much in the news for negative reasons. A new project has been launched already during the time of Silje Brink with the National Department of Water and Sanitation. And that is that's already at the early stage of implementation. So if they can continue with that and other aspects that we have seen in the city in general, that will be a good thing. It's not all doom and gloom in terms of what has happened in the past. I think where the emphasis is on especially the areas of the townships, but more specifically the informal settlements or the informal areas that have struggled quite a lot during this time. So I think this is where there's a lot of expectations that they must be able to address that.
Yeah, well, hopefully the impetus will come from the fact that the local government elections are just around the corner.
That's indeed so, and hopefully it will galvanize all the parties in order to perform even better now, because, and many of them are actually part of the government of national unity. So that will create an interesting dynamics about how these parties are going to campaign against each other, but within the government of national unity. So on the one hand, they work together. On the other hand, is this electoral contestation that's taking place. Hopefully, that is going to unleash more dynamics, a more sort of proactive way of dealing with these issues and a better understanding of each other and more cooperation.
Prof, do you think for the voting public that there might be some confusion come 2026 and the local government elections around, you know, the government of national unity, but the fact that that does not filter down to the provinces?
Yes, I think this will be the concept of a coalition is for South Africa better known at local government level, but at provincial and national level, obviously it's still very new. And to make also the distinction between that what happens at local level is not necessarily a mirror image what happens at the national level. I think these are aspects that the public in general will still have to develop an understanding about. And even some of the politicians, that they must understand what's the implications of that. So we are in the process of learning much more about how these dynamics will have to work without each time there's a hiccup or difference of opinion or so believe that everything is going to collapse now.
Yeah, without the constant threats of some kind of collapse of the GNU. Professor Dirk Kotze, let me thank you for your time this afternoon. Some analysis for you there in the wake of Tshwane getting a new deputy mayor.